This is Indie Business Podcast, episode 95. Welcome to the Indie Business Podcast. I'm your host, Donna Maria. I am a business coach, certified entrepreneur mentor, and the founder and CEO of the Indie Business Network, where we offer general and product liability insurance and personal, entrepreneurial, and small business training and mentoring in a group setting for American makers and artisan entrepreneurs. Our goal is to help you build a profitable business that makes you happy and successful and can generate income for life. In this episode, I interview Rachel Beyer of Rachel Beyer Artist Apothecary in Portland, Oregon. For Rachel, art has always been a passion. Her mother and grandmother taught her how to sew, and growing up, she took extra art classes every chance she got. So it's no surprise that her business is an outgrowth of a combination of her passion, training, and expertise as an artist. After studying graphic design and fine art in college, Rachel realized she would not be happy with a life filled with mainly time spent in front of a computer, even if it was doing what she loved. So she began to study herbs and aromatherapy and eventually integrated all of her skills and passions into an Etsy shop selling her artwork. And she became a published author and a freelance designer and craft blogger. I can't wait for you to hear more about Rachel's entrepreneurial journey, especially how she manages a successful business while dealing with chronic pain without compromising her health, and how she remains balanced, happy, and joyful with all of it. You can get a summary for this episode at indiebusinessnetwork.com/95. And now let's get right to it with Rachel Beyer of Rachel Beyer Artist Apothecary in Portland, Oregon. Rachel Beyer from Rachel Beyer Artist Apothecary in Portland, Oregon. Welcome to Indie Business Podcast.
Hi, Donna Maria. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, Rachel, your business is like an outgrowth of your expertise and your training as a graphic artist. And I think that is so fascinating because you design the artwork on your labels. And we're going to get to that. But I first want to go back a little bit and share a little bit about your transition from working full-time or mostly in the graphic artist field to what you're doing now, making products and incorporating your graphic design expertise into your brand.
Yeah. So I studied graphic design in college and, started working in the field. I quickly realized I didn't want a full-time job doing that work because spending that much time in front of the computer was really hard on my body. So I did I started my first like Etsy shop way back in like 2009, making products and selling my art. I was also working, still using the graphic design skills, doing like freelance graphic design work. I did craft blogging for many years. So I've always just um, had like many kind of part-time jobs all at once.
Your first like quote unquote career profession was in the graphic design field. Is that how it kind of all got started? I mean, you're obviously talented, separate and apart from that. Like as a child, did you recognize early on that you had a talent and a skill as a designer and artist?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was always interested in art. And I took, I would take, extra classes outside of school, art classes, and yeah, creativity, art and crafts were always a passion of mine. Crafting and sewing were things I learned from my mother and grandmother. So those were all things I've always been really passionate about, and Yeah, and then I did actually begin college studying like fine art, but couldn't really see myself like what was I going to do with a fine art degree. So I did
Hmm.
end up changing to graphic design so that I could
Hmm.
have just more tangible skills um, to help me begin my career. And
Hmm.
so yeah, so I guess I've always kind of done both, but the art and the graphic design.
Hmm. So many talents all together, all wrapped up in one nice package. And, so I've known you for a bit, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 years when you first joined the Indie Business Network. And we've talked before, on Zooms and so forth. I haven't had a chance to meet you in person. I hope that will change one day. But one of the things that's so funny is even though I've followed your business for a while, I have some of your products, I've got some in my purse right now. Um, I discovered, I don't know how I came across this on Amazon. I was just looking around Amazon and I was like, there was a book by a person named Rachel Beyer. And I clicked on it. I was like, I wonder if that's the same Rachel Beyer. And I read a little bit and I was like, it's the same Rachel Beyer. So I mean, it's so interesting because you are multi-talented, obviously, but I had never known that you had been the author of this book. So that book must have been written back during the time, before you started your herbal and plant-based business, when you were kind of, doing other things more consistently. Is that what that book was? I just remember
Yeah,
it was like an how to make something book. I can't remember exactly what it was.
yeah, it's a book on like felt and embroidery projects, craft.
Yes, yes.
Um, yeah, so I was a craft blogger for many years, and so that's kind of where that project came from. I was approached by a publisher, and
Uh
um, and I did the thing. I wrote the book.
Well, that's
So
awesome and so fascinating to me too, because it's a reminder that when like we're looking at what you're doing now, and this is what we're buying now, this is what we see now, but there's always such a great story behind whatever we see now. And I just think, the experience that you must have had and the confidence building that must have occurred back when you learned how to make something and a publisher came along and said, "Hey, we want to publish
yeah,
your book." Like, what was that experience like? Pretty amazing, huh?
yeah. I mean, like the world of. I quickly learned, how different the world of publishing is. I was only given about 6 weeks to write the book, and
Oh, wow.
I did all the photography and illustrations for the book as well. So it was a really big
Wow.
project. That yeah, I because I was
That's
working, my
mhm,
other jobs were all very part time. I was able
mhm.
to create the space needed to
Yeah,
create the book.
yeah.
Um, and then I've actually written another smaller book for a different publisher
Mhm.
that came a few years later, actually right before I started my current product business, and that was a instructional book for a candle making kit.
Okay, so there's another book I didn't even know about. So,
Yeah.
and I'm doing my research and I'm so excited to hear that. So, you have found a way to combine multiple talents, like you can write, you can take nice product photos, you're an artist and an illustrator, you are an educated plant herbalist, and you know how to make products. Like, and I'm probably just scratching the surface. Like, do you play the flute too? Like, there's probably all
Yeah.
these other things, but you have taken those, I guess, 5 or 6 things that you're really good at that you also enjoy and combine them together to create a business.
Yes, exactly. And
That
my
is like, to me, that is like, doesn't that excite you? Like, how I mean, how many people would love to be able to do that? Like, they're maybe good at graphics art like you were, and they could sit in front of a computer, and I guess that kind of life is fine for some people, everybody's different, but you have figured out a way to take that gift and that skill and massage it so that it could work for you according to your definition of what you wanted to do and not have to fit it into someone else's.
Yes. Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely with my, the current iteration of my handmade business, it's definitely, crafted for
Mhm.
to suit my needs, to suit,
Yeah,
my passions
yeah.
and, the life that I want to live.
Like,
And
isn't that the
like,
best? Like, could you
yeah,
see
I mean,
yourself even having a job now?
no. I mean, before I started this business, I did work. I did have a job that I thought was my dream job at
Mhm,
the time. I was working full time for another artist who I really admired. I was managing a new storefront that she opened. It was a metaphysical, spiritual type shop, and after a year, I was laid off, and the shop was closed down. And so, um, I really that having that experience really did like help me remember I mean I steered that ship. The artist,
mhm,
the owners and the artists were really hands off. So was really
mhm,
reminded me of like what really I was capable of. And
mm, yeah,
help me to to be on the the retailer side of things, and seeing ordering all these beautiful products that people were
right,
making. And so when that job ended, I I that's when I wrote the candle making book,
mhm,
and really fell in love with the process of
mhm,
making candles. And so that was in 2018. And so that in 2018, the fall of 2018, I launched two candle scents,
mhm,
the first two, and I sold them on my website and in one shop in my community.
mhm,
and
mhm.
and things kind of grew from there.
Yes, well, I have some of your candles and I love them. So if we go back a little bit before that, Rachel, I know from looking at your bio that you have some experience with chronic pain. And so I know a lot of our listeners who have businesses of their own experience different sorts of physical challenges as well. And I was wondering if you could share a little bit about that journey and how, despite whatever those issues are, you are still managing and have managed over the years to, lead a successful business that you really enjoy.
Yeah, so I developed a chronic pain condition in 2013. And it's still something I'm, managing today. So this is like I'm in my 10th year
Mhm, mhm,
of yeah, living with chronic pain. And I'm much better at managing it now, 10 years in. But it really changed the course of my life and kind of forced me to really listen deeply to my body, and like learn how to feel my feelings and process difficult emotions and those kinds of things. So
mhm.
um
Yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of hard to um for people sometimes to envision and sort of connect whatever the issue might be from a physical perspective. And sometimes it's a challenge to be able to say, okay, this is what I want to do, but I have certain sorts of limitations that I have to respect because I have to take care of myself. And so, but you've been able to, whatever those issues are, you've been able to figure out how you can continue to care for yourself and also, run a business, which is like, any business, like it's Herculean to be able to run any kind of business. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and just like, I over the years, I, just was really led and just through listening to my body and my intuition, that like working for someone else on someone else's schedule and time just did not
Mhm.
wasn't supportive for me. So
Right.
like I needed to create my own kind of ecosystem in my work life um, that
Mhm.
is flexible, where I manage my
Yeah.
own time. If I'm having a pain flare up, I can, clear my schedule and
Mhm.
rest when I need to. I can work from my bed when I
Mhm.
need to. And just really the business, that I'm running now, it's really I'm really about just kind of honoring my own pace and not
Mhm.
trying to push myself and push my body past what's healthy for me to
Mhm.
do.
And so as you lead your business with those thoughts in mind, Rachel, how do you set uh goals in the business, or how do you, like, one of the things, obviously you have beautiful products and you could just make them for fun. Like, you don't have to have a business. You could make a living doing something else. How do you remain flexible as you just described, and have a fluid approach while at the same time keeping your eye like on the bottom line and making sure that you are, continuing to be profitable and, selling the products that are actually generating the income that makes the business financially successful?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a challenge and like something that I'm like working to find a balance in all the time. Um I don't do too much like planning ahead, honestly, because
Mhm, mhm,
just because my life really and my body really need me to like be present in in
mm,
what's happening today, because
mhm,
tomorrow I could be laid up in bed, or um but I do still do freelance graphic design work. So I don't like to put all my eggs into one basket.
mhm,
So,
mhm. So do
so
you see the business as supplementing the freelance graphic design work, or the other way around, or does it even matter?
right right now the graphic design work is my bread and butter still.
Mhm.
Um I would like it to be the other way around at
It's a process, right?
some point in the future, um but yeah, and the graphic design work, I will say I work exclusively for one client,
Mm, mhm.
who I think we're in our 8th year of working together, and
Oh,
that
wow.
relationship has really grown over the years.
That's
I
great.
work for a produce company, so I
Mhm.
design their produce packaging, and
Ooh. Do you draw
they're
fruits and vegetables? Like
yes.
Ooh,
Yes,
nice. Oh, I bet it's
and,
beautiful.
the name of the produce brand is called Hippie Organics, and they are based actually in Miami, Florida, and they found me way back in 2015 by literally Googling groovy art. So
Are you kidding me? Groovy art, and you came up, that's actually not that surprising because one of the things that I think is so awesome and unique about your brand is that you design all of the labels on your packaging, and you also have other sorts of products that you design, like greeting cards and so forth. So, can you share with us a little bit about how you how does a new design come to you? I mean, I know it's an artistic experience that someone like me probably would never have. But like, do you come up with these great ideas in the shower? How your new greeting card or something is going to look like? What is that process like for you? If you could share a little bit of that.
yeah, well, I mean, I do keep a sketchbook and, doodle ideas as they come up. Um, and like doing the work with Hippie Organics really did inform like me putting my artwork on the labels of my products, because um, my artwork is on like the clamshell of the
Mhm.
blueberry. Um,
Mhm.
than the work
Mhm.
I do with them. But like for the candles, uh, which they are my kind of my my best-selling
Mhm.
product.
Mhm.
I do they are really special because the artwork I create for the candles is I really feel it's like a collaboration with me and like the natural materials that I use,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
collaboration with nature. Um, so and I love I aromatherapy was like one of the first like healing tools I
Mhm.
found in my like healing journey with chronic pain.
Mhm.
Um, and so, I really love working with scent and like having that inform the artwork that I
Mm.
then create that kind of expresses an intention for the candle itself. Um,
Mhm. So
and
it sounds like the whole process is integrating all of the things that matter to you in your life. Like the plants you said, the aromatherapy, the essential oils, they're in the products and we get to enjoy them because we buy them. But I would imagine that the making process using the things that you love to surround yourself with is also healing in and of itself.
yes, exactly. And that's kind of what with my business now, like the process of creating my products is
Mhm.
actually like therapeutic and healing for me
Mm.
personally, like while
Mhm.
I'm making them. And I do garden and I all the herbs and like flower petals that I decorate the tops of my candles with, I grow and
Mhm.
harvest myself. So I am like in this relationship with the plants
Mhm.
that I then use to create the products and who
Mhm.
inspire the artwork.
So, Rachel, that integration of life and business is something that I mean, I see it more frequently today than I used to, but tell me what you're seeing in terms of the world of makers and artists, entrepreneurs, and how they are able to integrate these aspects of themselves into a venture that can actually also support them. Like, that's not something that like our parents, you know, didn't really see that in the business world. Like, I know my grandparents, they were farmers, like, they grew everything they ate. When it was time for dinner, my grandmother would go in the backyard, and she would pick some green beans and, deal with a chicken, and 2 hours later, we would have chicken and green beans for dinner, like, that was how it worked, but I think what we're seeing now, and I'd love your thoughts on this too, is sort of a resurgence of that we don't have to have a traditional job that we don't necessarily enjoy. If you enjoy it, it's great. But if you don't, you can take your skills and talents and channel them someplace else and fulfill yourself physically, emotionally, financially, and all those things from things that you know how to do yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I have always known that I've, wanted to pave my own path in my career and like,
Hmm.
I think so many creative people just don't feel like they don't fit into kind of the prescribed um, career path that, like you said, like my parents and grandparents, they worked one job for their whole career, and
Right, right.
just it's different now. I think
Hmm.
um, especially for uh, for myself and for other people who are more highly sensitive,
Hmm.
have chronic health issues, like,
Hmm.
everyone is so has creativity in them, like,
Hmm.
and they're with like access to technology and the internet and social media. It's you really can it makes paving your
Hmm.
own path more possible.
Hmm.
Um, it's certainly not easy. It's certainly not the easy path. The prescribed path is, just working a 9 to 5 job. is maybe, you know, easier, but
Mhm.
I've found it to be, less fulfilling
Mhm.
and not as supportive as I want my work and career to be, and not as
Mm.
meaningful.
Rachel, do you find it a challenge to, uh, integrate the aspects of your life that involve making the products and designing the labels and, carrying your sketchbook around and so forth? Do you find it's a challenge to integrate that with the need for technology to market your business?
Yes, definitely. Marketing of my business is definitely a big challenge. I, I don't have like consistent presence on social media or um, anything like that, but I'm just really of the mind of like
Mhm.
I don't want to force myself to
Mhm. Mhm.
do things. Whenever that voice of saying I should do this, I should do that, then I I tend to take a pause
Mhm.
and kind of reconnect with my
Mhm.
intuition and what it is I'm meant to be doing,
Right.
because there's so many distractions, and
Mhm.
can really get caught up in comparison.
Mhm.
I call it compare and despair.
Right, right.
um,
Yes.
and so I really try to like stay in my own lane
Mhm.
and really focus on yeah, my own process in
So
my
it's a challenge, but you still do it. And I know you just said that you don't feel like you're as consistent. I'm actually on your Instagram now, which for everyone listening is your name, Rachel Beyer. And while I don't see like posts every day, I do see total consistency. Like I really do. Like if I were to come here and not have known you, and I think I've actually experienced this before because I didn't know you until I knew you. Um, your 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 Instagram is very brand organized to me. It's very consistent. It may not be every day, but it's very consistent. And you know what I love? I love when you treat us to a picture of you.
Mhm.
It's nice, and the tops of your candles are gorgeous, like, I don't even need to know if it burns, I just like the top of the candle, and I want the top of that candle, and I've had some of them, so I love that you are allowing your business to grow according to what feels right to you and not what other people or, you know, I guess, other things in the world say you should be doing.
Right, and I think, I've had to really learn how to set clear boundaries,
Mm, mhm.
in my business,
Mhm,
mainly with myself, you know, and with, with other people I work with, but, um, yeah, just, like, being really clear on, like, making sure that I'm showing up in my
mhm,
business in a way that is true and
mhm,
authentic to me, and
mhm,
because I think, you know, in the past, I've learned some important lessons on yeah,
mhm,
trying to be
mm,
everyone's everything, trying to be like
right,
everyone, and
mhm.
you know,
Yeah, that never works long term, does it?
no.
Because we have to be who we are. So, Rachel, what different products do you sell? Like, I know you have some bath and body, but I also see cards and matches and other sorts of things. Can you give us like the overview of the types of categories of products that you offer at Rachel Beyer?
Yeah, so I do like have many categories of products just because I've been making and selling my art for so long. I kind of really started out making art prints and greeting cards, so I still have those some of those designs in my shop. And then
Mm-hmm.
I have the candles and aromatherapy products, so I make sprays and roll-on perfumes, and then kind of seasonally, I do add I make I have within my own herbalism practice, I make
Mhm.
um tinctures and salves and teas and things like that. And so seasonally I'll kind of add those in as well.
And you are an herbalist and an aromatherapist? Like, tell us a little bit about the background of the things that you have studied that you have integrated into your product line.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much self-taught um with aromatherapy and herbalism. I've taken classes online over the years, and really my interest is in just finding and creating my own healing remedies that
Mhm,
support my health and help me manage my chronic pain and things
mm,
like that. So and just like something with the chronic pain, a
mhm,
message I've kind of received over the years is like getting my body closer to the earth
mm,
um feels healing for me.
mhm.
Um
So
so
kind
yeah,
of putting all those things together into your business, as well as the work that you do for the Hippie Organics brand as well. There's obviously a connection there. Like, I went over to
yeah.
their website and I do see your artwork. So it all kind of connects together.
Yes, and, like, one of the things I love about working with them is, like, seeing on social media people
Mhm.
who buy the produce and they're like, "I don't even like Brussels sprouts, but the packaging was so cute, it inspired me to try cooking Brussels sprouts." So
Well, I have to say I agree with that, because the first thought I had was, oh my goodness, butternut squash. I
yeah.
need some of that. Of course, I don't need any right now, but I need some now because this picture is so nice. It's really, really beautifully done. So, do you wholesale and retail direct to consumers? Like, tell us a little bit, if you would, about how you split that up in your business.
Yeah, so I have my own website, so I'm selling, direct to customers on my website. I also am on Etsy, though um I don't put as much effort into my Etsy shop. It's just wanting a presence in that marketplace. And then I do also wholesale, and um wholesale has been kind of the focus
Mhm.
of my business for
Mhm.
the last few years.
Mhm. So when you think about not being quote unquote consistent on social media, is that part of the reason why? Is that you're selling direct to consumers, of course, because you have Etsy and you obviously have your own website, but when you're selling wholesale, you don't necessarily you're not dealing with a consumer in that transaction. You're dealing with another business owner who's buying your products in bulk to stock for themselves to sell them to consumers, right?
Right.
So do you find that that's one of the reasons why you feel like the last couple of years have been a little more wholesale than before, because you like that shift or that mix?
Yeah, I mean, I am kind of I do have like an introverted personality, and so, I really enjoy working behind the scenes most of the time,
Mhm,
working in my studio, being in my own kind of creative space.
mhm,
Um, So, yeah, so I really kind of had when I began my um this iteration of my business, I really had a focus on wholesale.
mhm,
Um and and
mhm,
really saw a lot of growth in the last few years
mhm,
with that, which has been great. And then last year I did end up pivoting a little bit by doing some in-person events. My wholesale sales have gone down significantly. So last year I was like, okay, I need to, you know,
mhm,
I need to change. I need to make a change. So I did um,
mhm,
about 6 in-person events, kind
mhm,
of last like fall holiday season, and Um,
Isn't that's when we get treated to pictures of you, by the way, on your
yes,
Instagram. I've
yes,
noticed that.
exactly.
So do you attribute the sales changes in wholesale in any way to the pandemic, or do you see it as
Yeah,
caused by something else?
I think so. In
Mhm,
2021, I was busy, I was
mm,
still working out of my home.
mhm,
Um, and more than doubled my income
mhm.
that year, with just selling wholesale mainly on Fair.
Before the pandemic, you mean?
No, this was in 2021.
Okay, so in the
So
throes of the
a year in.
pandemic.
Yeah, and I think just a lot of, small businesses saw a boost,
Yes,
in their
indeed.
businesses because,
Mhm.
people were, really
People
yeah,
were
just
at home with a credit card in their hands.
yeah,
How about that, right?
getting stimulus money from the government
Right,
and
right.
also just supporting local businesses and small
Mhm,
businesses really came into people's awareness and the importance of that.
mhm,
And then last year in 2022, I had a drop of $10,000. I made 10,000 less on Fair
mhm,
last year,
mhm.
and I think so. I
On
think
Fair, you mean the wholesale site at
yeah,
Fair? Okay, mhm,
yeah, so I think but now it's taken a few years for the smaller shops and smaller
mhm,
businesses to really feel the impacts of the pandemic. I mean, along
mm,
with the rising cost of materials and
mm.
shipping and all that kind of stuff.
So one of the ways you've handled that is to shift to do more events, which you might not otherwise be doing if the wholesale was a little stronger right now. Is that kinda
Right.
what you're
I
saying?
mean, I would rather, just be in my introverted space,
Mhm,
in my creative space. So definitely doing events is a little outside of my comfort zone, but um, it really was a great opportunity because I
mhm.
hadn't yet interacted directly with my customers in person and gotten direct customer feedback, which was really valuable for me to have and to just be able to meet people after being
Yeah,
quarantined and very isolated during at the beginning
yeah.
of the pandemic especially.
Well, I would imagine that in addition to being a treat for your customers, was extra good for you because now you have more of the insight that you need into your customers' buying process. So whether you're wholesaling or retailing, you're better equipped to make products that serve those people because you know them better now.
Yes, exactly. An example is one of the I added matchboxes to my line last year, and
Mhm,
there was just one of, and each matchbox features my artwork, and you can get a candle with a matching matchbox. Um, and there was just one artwork on a matchbox that people were
mhm,
just kept gravitating towards this one. I mean, I had I think a dozen different designs,
mhm,
but there was just
mhm,
this one that people were liking the most. And
mhm,
so now I'm working on making kind of reworking that artwork to make an art
mhm,
print because I had a
mhm.
few people say I would put this on my wall.
Oh, yes.
So
So that's such a great illustration of how leading a business and running a business and listening to your customers can lead to new opportunities that you don't really plan for. It's like organically you made the matchboxes not thinking about making prints at the beginning, but then a customer comes along and goes, "Hey, that would be a nice print." And then you can start thinking along those lines. So it's almost like you don't have to do all the heavy lifting of making things up because when you put what you do make out there, your customers come to you and say other ideas and they kind of give them to you. Like, is that it's like synchronous to me.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I do there, you do get all kinds of comments
Mhm.
people, and so you mean I have had to learn how to, take what resonates for me and leave the
Right.
rest,
Right, we have to
But
sift through all the stuff, but it sounds like you're doing that, like, we sift through all the stuff, and then we separate the stuff from the stuff that is useful to us, and then we put that to use and make it work for us and make it work, obviously, for our customers. So, Rachel, when you create a new design, like, as an artist, like, can you give us some insight into what that's like? Do you walk around with a sketchbook in your purse everywhere you go and oh my goodness, you're walking past a tree and you have to stop and sit down and draw it right now. Like, I'm not an artist, so how does that work? I'm so curious about the internal workings of an artist in that regard because your illustrations are so beautiful. Like, does this come naturally to you, or do you like sit down with a blank page? Like a lot of writers say, "Oh, I have to write 500 words today." So they sit down with a blank page in front of them and they don't get up until 500 words are written. Do you find that that creative process is similar at all, or is it different for you?
I mean, I think it's different. It's much more intuitive, more kind of unplanned. I mean, I do have a
Mm,
specific illustration style that I work in,
mhm,
and that um, is really something I developed through my work with hippie organics. Um, so, um, yeah, I am very much inspired by nature
mhm,
and plants.
mm,
Part of my herbalism practice, create a I'm creating like my own. It's called a materia medica, which is basically your own
mhm,
record of
mhm,
different plants and their healing properties. And
mhm,
so I do like have ongoing research that I do on plants, and part of that process is illustrating a plant, making a little illustration of the plant,
mhm,
which then I may later incorporate into an a more full illustration. um,
mhm. Right.
and yeah, and
That's so great.
and then I do. It's my style. My illustration style is a combination of watercolor and digital. So I
Wow.
do. So I make the like line drawing of the
Mhm,
image I'm creating, and then I I paint watercolor swatches and
mhm,
scan them in, and then kind of
mhm,
collage them in. It's kind of like coloring in a coloring book,
mhm,
but with all these watercolor swatches I've created. And so I have like a whole catalog of different
mhm,
watercolor swatches
mhm,
that I incorporate and build into the artwork on the computer. So it's like a
mhm.
combination of traditional and digital.
Have you ever thought about teaching classes? You're
On
laughing because I'm not the
on
first person to ask that question, am I?
on the illustration side?
Yes.
Or no, I mean, I don't know. It's just
I took some art classes during the pandemic. Um, it was fun. I definitely have no talent in that regard. My talents lie elsewhere for sure. But it certainly was fun. And I'm just scrolling through your website as we're talking, and I'm picturing you, like with a paintbrush in one hand, a pencil in the other, an iPad in another, and color swatches everywhere. Like that process just must be. I would imagine I could see, like, if I could glance into your studio, I would imagine you could stay in there for 100 hours and like someone would have to remind you to eat.
yeah, I'm not a person that, like, is ever bored and, like,
Yeah.
doesn't know what to do. I
Yeah.
always
So do you have like a studio separate from your home, or is your
Yeah,
studio in
so
your home?
right at the beginning of 2022, I moved my business out of my home into a studio space. So, and I like doubled the size my workspace, the size of my
Mhm.
workspace, which is great because I was working in a very tiny space and also like, on my couch in my living room. So
Mhm.
now I have a separate studio space where I do all the production work of making my products
Uh-huh.
and have a desk for my doing my design work. A lot of the illustration artwork, if I'm just like making art, I still do that at home. Um,
Mhm.
'Cause
Mhm.
I
And
never just watch TV. It's like,
right.
watching TV and drawing or
Right,
working.
doing something else at the same
Yeah.
time. So how did you find the space? Like, is it all yours? Do you share it? Like, what is that experience like?
Yeah, it's a building that it's just a few miles from my house in Portland, and it's a building that's all for like small businesses and like hobbyists. So you can they
It's like
have all the
a maker space sort of.
yeah, yeah, and they have a few different buildings around town, and so yeah, so I'm in a building with other makers, other small business people
Mhm.
who and I have
Mhm.
yeah, I have like 200 square feet and my own sink. So
Oh, that's a nice amount of space. So when you grow the herbs and stuff, do you do that there or in your backyard? Like where are the herbs and things that you mentioned that you have in your candles and so forth grown?
those are grown in my backyard, yeah. And then
Nice.
I do also during the summer months visit local farms and like go to they have there's a local farm here called
Mhm.
Rise Up Remedies, and they're an herb farm and they invite the community out to pick their own herbs in the summer months. So I'll also go out to their farm and harvest herbs with them too.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. So, Rachel, do you have people that help you in your business, like either employees or contractors that work with you, either full time, part time, or seasonally?
Um, no, it's all me, doing everything. I mean, during the holidays, I will tap,
Hmm.
family members
Hmm.
to help me. Um, so, my mom and sister this past
Uh-huh.
holiday season came to my studio and helped me, like, with labeling candles.
Uh-huh.
My dad helped me load in and out of my events,
Yeah.
um, things like that, but
And, like, do
it's
you do your own bookkeeping too? Like, in your
yeah.
own yeah, okay. So what do you do for non-work time? Like, your relaxation I mean, I know it's relaxing to make your products, and you're an artist, and you mentioned that that is healing for you. Do you enjoy other sorts of hobbies as well that are completely unrelated to your business?
Not any it's not completely unrelated. No, I do really enjoy gardening.
Mhm, mhm.
So just in my backyard, I'm also volunteering at a community garden this year, so I'm excited for that.
Oh.
Otherwise, I living in the Pacific Northwest,
Mhm,
I love to go on hikes and
mhm.
just any chance to get outside and be in nature.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful part of the country for sure. Wow, well, April, I did I just call you April? I don't even know where that came from. Why did that happen? Okay, pickle, we may have to cut that out. Um, well, Rachel, it was so great to talk to you and so great to learn a little bit more about your process and really just what goes into the creation of these products, which I see as beautiful and which I have personally experienced. I will tell you, like I said, I'm looking at your wound. You have a wound healer product right now. It's like a skin healing salve, which, by the way, for anyone listening, is a wonderful product. I use it on my hands and it's a beautiful color and it smells good and it smells like the earth in some ways, and so it really is such a nice reflection of all the things that you've shared with us that your brand stands with. As we close things out, Rachel, I would love to know, like, as a person who you're a self-described introvert, but you're also a member of the Indie Business Network, and I would imagine, you're a member of the community garden that you talked
Mm.
about. Like, can you share with our listeners how important you feel it is to be a part of communities like the Indie Business Network and others so that you have your own space and everything, but you're also not alone?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, community is so important, and I feel like, especially with the pandemic, we've really been isolated and forced away from community. So coming back to community and interacting with like-minded people online and in the indie business network has been so helpful. Just being able to ask questions, get feedback,
Mhm.
talk with other, you know, other artists, other creative people, other business owners has been so helpful and supportive. And just like, as much as I love,
Mhm.
being being on my own in my
Mhm.
studio, in my like creative zone, like I like interacting with other people and and being in
Mm.
community is still, I still feel, is so important. And like
Mhm.
finding finding your people
Finding
is,
your people, yeah.
yeah.
Well, we definitely love serving you, but let me just tell you, I'm glad you like that time in your studio too, because what you produce is truly exquisite and it's absolutely lovely, and I appreciate it, and I know I'm not the only one. So, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a little bit about your life and your business. I want to remind everyone to go to Rachel Beyer, RachelBeyer, rachelbeyer.com, and also on Instagram and follow along and look for her at some shows coming up as well in the Pacific Northwest area, right, Rachel? I'm gonna try to get out there when you're doing shows
Yeah.
too in the spring and summer. That would be great.
Yeah, I'm doing my next show in May at it's called Crafty Wonderland. It's our one of our big community shows for artists and makers. So I'm excited for that. That's coming up
And
in May.
that's in Portland too?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure we mention that, because the podcast will be published before then. So we'll definitely let people know about that. Rachel, thank you so much for joining. It's been so much fun to get to know you and chat with you for a while. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was great talking with you today.
Well, I hope this episode of the Indie Business Podcast left you inspired, motivated, and excited about the future of your business and your life. Let's quickly review 3 of the most significant business insights Rachel and I discussed today. Number 1, don't try to be everyone's everything. Over the years, Rachel has learned to be crystal clear on what it means to show up for herself first in true and authentic ways. And she so succinctly and eloquently put it this way: she has learned not to be everyone's everything. And that is a direct quote, because that never works. Let's remember that. Number 2, honor your personal pace. Rachel lives with what she describes as chronic pain challenges. These have taught her to listen deeply and intentionally to her body and to create and honor her own personal pace in life and in business. She has created what she describes as an ecosystem that allows her to adjust her schedule around what's going on in her life, so she never has to push herself emotionally and physically beyond what is healthy for her. These are lifestyle benefits she never would have been able to enjoy if she was working full time in a traditional environment. And number 3, the importance of community. While Rachel enjoys time in her studio in what she calls her creative zone, she embraces and understands that community is important as well, particularly as we move out of the pandemic. In addition to enjoying time in person with customers at shows and markets, Rachel's mom, sister, and father help her with her business, especially during busy seasons. She also volunteers at a local community garden. Also, being part of the Indie Business Network makes a big difference to Rachel because it allows her to interact with like-minded artisan entrepreneurs who provide valuable support and feedback and answers to her business questions. It's critical, she says, to be a part of community, online and off, where you can, quote unquote, find your people. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Indie Business Podcast. If you enjoyed this show, make sure you subscribe so you automatically get our new episodes every time one comes out. Also, I'd love it if you left us a review so more people like you can access these inspiring and uplifting entrepreneurial stories. We're on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, and all other major podcast platforms. And I would love to get to know you more personally too. You can follow the Indie Business Network on Instagram at Indie Business. And I also invite you to connect with me more personally on Instagram too at Donna Maria CEO. And if you really want to get to know me and take advantage of the personalized coaching and mentoring I deliver only inside the Indie Business Network, I invite you to join us today at indiebusinessnetwork.com and take advantage of our amazing growing community and the many benefits of membership, including our insurance coverage, promotional and networking opportunities, and more. Well, I'll see you on the next episode of the Indie Business Podcast. In the meantime, enjoy your life, build your business, and have your way.